I remember the first night I didn't ask you to stay. The rain was floating softly over the windows of the day. I was quiet on the sofa, trying not to need too much. You saw the fear behind it, but didn't call my silence love. You didn't make a speech then, you didn't make it grand. You just turned the kettle lower and reached out for my hand. I kept waiting for the moment when patience would expire, but you sat there in the dim light like staying wasn't tired. I used to think consistency was something I had to earn, but you stayed there without asking what I could give in return. You stay without being asked, and something in me softened. No chasing, no convincing, no door left half open. You stayed without being asked, like care was not a debt, like love could be remembered by someone who doesn't forget. I checked your face for warning, for the signs I used to know. The little shift in someone's eyes before they finally go. But all I found was quiet, a calm I couldn't read, because I never seen love stay without making me bleed. Maybe safety feels suspicious when you learn love from alarms. Maybe peace feels unfamiliar when you grew inside the harm. But night by night you showed me a truth I couldn't fake. Real love doesn't need a crisis to decide not to break. You stay without being asked, and I still think about that. How something so simple could return what I once lacked. You stayed without being asked, and the fear began to rest. Not all at once, not perfectly, but gently in my chest. Before you, silence meant danger, a cold room after rain, a message left unanswered, a quiet full of blame. I learned to hear rejection in the spaces words would leave. I learned to hold my breath when love forgot to speak. But with you, silence is different. It doesn't sharpen in the air, it sits beside the evening like a chair already there. You can read across the room, I can drift inside my mind, and nothing in the quiet feels like someone left behind. I didn't know a pause could be gentle, not a wall. I didn't know love could be quiet and still be there at all. No, silence feels like punishment when I'm here with you. No coldness in the stillness, no hidden blade to move through. No, silence feels like punishment, no fear between the lines. for hours with nothing much to say. The fan turns in the corner, the sun falls into gray, and I don't reach for meaning in every little sound, because your silence doesn't leave me, it lets me settle down. Maybe peace is not more words, maybe peace is knowing when a heart can rest beside you and not be tested again. Maybe quiet is a language when the bond is truly clear, a way of saying softly, I am still right here. No, silence feels like punishment, and I can finally breathe. No shadow in the stillness, no proof you'll one day leave. No, silence feels like punishment, and after all this time I'm learning love can whisper and still be fully mine. You said, can we talk a minute? And my old fear almost rose, because those words once meant winter and a door about to close. But your hand stayed on the table, your eyes stayed soft and clear, and I remembered I was safe now, even when the truth was near. I said I felt a little distant when you changed the plans today. You said I should have told you sooner, I didn't mean to pull away. No courtroom, no defending, no turning pain to war, just two people naming something before it became more. Hard talks used to feel like endings, now they feel like care. A bridge we build between us before distance settles there. We don't fear the hard talks, we don't run from what feels strange. We don't let the little fractures become reasons we should change. We don't fear the hard talks, we let the truth come through, because love that stays honest has room to become new. You said I'm still learning timing, I said I'm still learning trust. We smiled at how imperfect it is to be both human and in love. Then the room became lighter, not because we solved it all, but because we chose each other before the quiet built a wall. Maybe repair is not dramatic, maybe it's a chair pulled near, maybe it's asking one more question when the answer isn't clear. Maybe love survives the most when pride is not in charge, when two people make the table big enough for both their hearts. We don't fear the hard talks, and that still feels new. We can touch the tender places without splitting into two. We don't fear the hard talks, and maybe that is why staying isn't hard anymore when truth is not goodbye. I used to think one quiet day meant love was leaving soon. One tired voice, one shorter call could darken every room. I built entire endings from a look I couldn't place. I treated every weather change like permanent escape. But you don't let me spiral into stories made of fear. You say I'm only tired, I'm still here, I'm still here. And then you show me gently in the next small thing you do. A glass of water by my bed, a song you thought I knew. The body learns slowly what the mind can't just believe. That love can have quiet seasons and not be planning how to leave. Love doesn't disappear overnight. It doesn't vanish with the rain. It doesn't end because we're tired or because the day feels plain. Love doesn't disappear overnight. When it's built with steady hands, it bends, it breathes, it changes shape, but it still understands. There are days we're less romantic, days we both feel far from bright, days we eat in sleepy silence under ordinary light. But then you laugh at something simple and the whole room shifts again. Not a firework, not a rescue, just the warmth of being friends. Maybe I don't need intensity to prove that this is true. Maybe love is not the panic I once mistook for proof. Maybe steady is the miracle. Maybe calm is not a loss. Maybe lasting love is built from little bridges crossed. Love doesn't disappear overnight, and I am learning this. Not every fading feeling is a final broken kiss. Love doesn't disappear overnight, and now I understand. Real love is not a candle, it's a lantern in your hand. My body used to answer first, before my mind could speak. A tightening in my shoulders, a fear I couldn't keep. I'd hear a delayed reply and feel the room go thin, like every love I ever lost was starting up again. But lately something's different, not dramatic, not complete. Just a little less alarm in the rhythm of my feet. I don't flinch at every pause now, I don't brace for every turn. Somewhere under all this calm, my nervous system learns. Trust is not a sentence I can force myself to say. It's 1,000 quiet moments that don't betray me on the way. I trust this more than before, not blindly, not fast, not because I've forgotten what happened in the past. I trust this more than before because you keep showing me that love can stay consistent without making me plead. You don't promise perfect futures, you just show up when you can. You don't make me chase your kindness like a child with open hands. And that ordinary safety has been rewriting me, not with grand declarations, but with daily honesty. Maybe healing sounds boring to the part that knew the storm. Maybe peace feels unfamiliar when chaos was the norm. But every steady morning, every softly answered call builds a room inside my body where I don't fear the fall. I trust this more than before, and I'm not ashamed of time. Some things must grow slowly to be truly mine. I trust this more than before, and if fear still visits me, I won't call it failure, I'll call it learning safety. The shelf was leaning slightly by the window near the plants. You noticed it on Sunday with your coffee in your hands. You said we should fix that soon, before it falls one day. And I laughed because it sounded like the way we've learned to stay. We don't wait for things to shatter before we call them weak. We don't wait until resentment has forgotten how to speak. A small check-in after dinner, a soft question before sleep, a hand reaching for repair before the cut gets deep. We used to think love proved itself by surviving what it lost. Now we know prevention is the kinder kind of cause. We fix things before they break, we listen before the ache, we name the little fractures before silence learns their shape. We fix things before they break, not because we live in fear, but because what we are building is worth keeping clear. Last night I said I missed you, even though you were right there. You turned the music lower and pulled up another chair. We talked until the distance had nowhere left to hide. Not every repair is dramatic, sometimes it's just sitting side by side. Love is not waiting for wreckage to prove that it can mend. Love is checking the foundation again and again and again. Love is not a rescue scene with fire in the rain. Sometimes love is maintenance and choosing not to drain. We fix things before they break, and that without pretending. At the end, we fix things before they break. And maybe this is art, protecting what is gentle before it breaks the heart. I used to make myself smaller to fit inside affection, cut off pieces of my voice and call it self-protection. I'd laugh when I was hurting, say yes when I meant no, then wonder why love felt like a room where I couldn't grow. But you don't crowd my edges, you don't dim the parts that shine. You don't treat my dreams like noise or my needs like wasting time. When I speak about my future, you don't look away. You ask the kind of questions that help the light stay. I didn't know love could make room instead of taking space. I didn't know I could be seen without losing a face. You don't make me feel small, you don't ask me to disappear. You don't call my voice too much or my boundaries fear. Small, and I finally understand the right love doesn't hold you down, it helps you learn to stand. Sometimes I talk too quickly when something makes me glad. I wait for someone's tired eyes like the ones I used to have, but you smile like my joy is not something to reduce. Like my whole self is welcome, not just the useful truth. This is how I measure safety, not by poetry or rings, but whether I can stretch my soul without clipping off its wings. Whether I can be ambitious, loud, unsure, and still feel fully wanted, still feel fully yours. You don't make me feel small, and that means more than praise, more than perfect photographs or beautiful display. You don't make me feel small, and I keep growing. But because it has no fear. The lights are low, the fan is turning, your book is open, the tea is cooling. Nothing is urgent, nothing is loud. I don't feel the need to earn this now. Rain on the roof, sheets are folded over the pillow. My phone is silent, my chest is clear. For once my body believes it's safe here. I don't have to scan the room, I don't have to plan escape. I don't have to be prepared for love to change its shape. I can rest here, I can lay the armor down. I can rest here without listening for the sound of something breaking, of someone leaving, of old pain waking while I'm still breathing. I can rest here, and that is enough. No perfect moment, no golden movie, just quiet breathing, moving through me. Your hand near my hand, not holding too tight, the kind of closeness that lets me sleep tonight. Maybe home is not a place, maybe home is nervousness, learning it can close its eyes and still wake up to tenderness. I can rest here, not because life is without pain. I can rest here because love does not feel like chains. No more bracing, no more pleading, no more mistaking fear for meaning. I can rest here, and that is enough. We forget small things sometimes. We answer late when days are long. We say the almost right thing in a half-exhausted tone. We are not glowing symbols of love that never bends. We are two imperfect people learning how to be good friends. You still get quiet under pressure, I still read too much in space. We still carry older weather into newer, safer days. But we catch ourselves more gently, we return before it grows. We apologize more quickly than our pride wants anyone to know. Maybe love is not perfection, maybe love is repair. Maybe kindness is the promise that keeps meeting us there. We are not perfect, but we are kind. We lose the words, but we still try. We miss the mark, then make it right. We come back softer every time. We are not perfect, but we are kind, and that is something real. A love that doesn't need to shine to prove the way it feels. There are no flawless mornings, no script we always keep. Sometimes one of us is restless, sometimes one of us can't sleep. But we don't weaponize weakness, we don't laugh at tender things. We don't turn each other's bruises into reasons to grow wings. Kindness is not passive, it is chosen, it is made. It is holding back the sharp word when the old wound feels afraid. It is asking one more question when assumption feels easier. not perfect, but we are kind. And maybe that's the vow, not never hurting, never failing, but caring about the how. We are not perfect, but we are kind. And in this gentle truth, I find a love more beautiful than anything perfection proves. There was a time I thought love meant standing near the door, one hand holding all my hope, one foot prepared for more. I thought staying took performance, endurance dressed as grace. Like if I worked hard enough, I might deserve my place. But now the days move softer, not perfect, not asleep, just steady in a way that lets the roots grow deep. You are not a question I must solve to feel okay, and I am not a burden you carry through the day. I didn't know that staying could feel like being free, not trapped inside a promise, but welcomed fully. Staying feels natural now, like morning finding light, like breathing without counting every shadow in the night. Staying feels natural now, no fear beneath the floor. I don't have to force this love to be safe anymore. We still have our hard days, still miss each other's cues, still learn the shape of patience when we don't know what to do. But nothing feels like exile, nothing feels like proof that one wrong word will cost me the tenderness of you. Maybe this is what I wanted when I kept chasing flame. Not a love that made me vanish, then called devotion by my name, but a love that stands beside me with no hunger to control. A place where staying doesn't take the pieces of my soul. Staying feels natural now, and I can finally see love was never meant to be a test of loyalty. Staying feels natural now, like something calm and true. I don't stay because I'm afraid, I stay because I choose.